On a nice afternoon, Samuel and his girlfriend Ivy were driving around the city when the weather was good. They stopped at a gas station to fill up their tank. As they were there, they saw a girl standing and looking sad. She had a sad face and looked like she was suffering. Samuel felt bad for her, so he got out of the car and went over to her. He asked her in a kind voice, "Hi, are you okay? Why are you standing here asking for money?" The girl started crying and said with tears in her eyes, "My name is Alice. My mom is an alcoholic and doesn't care about me. I need help to eat and get by." Ivy saw the whole thing from a distance and walked over to Samuel. She said, "This girl really looks like she needs some help." Samuel had already felt sorry for Alice. So he said, "Yeah, Ivy, I think we should do something for her." He turned to Alice and said, "I'm going to buy you a meal, okay?" Alice looked surprised but happy and said, "Thank you so much. You're very kind." Moved by Alice's story, Samuel didn't think twice before offering his help. He went into the gas station and bought a big plate of food for the girl. He also took some cash from his pocket and handed it to Alice. Wanting to know what she would do with the money, Samuel asked Alice, "What are you going to do with this?" The girl looked worried and replied, "I'm going to hide it from my mom and use it to buy some food. If she finds out, she'll just spend it on booze." Samuel felt really sad when he heard this and, on a whim, walked over to his car. He opened the door and pulled out a ring that his grandfather, Mr. Xavier, had given him. This ring was very special to him. Ivy saw him holding the ring and she looked concerned. "Samuel, are you sure you want to give that ring to Alice? Your grandfather said it should be used on special occasions." Samuel looked determined and his heart was full of kindness. "Ivy, I really feel it's the right thing to do," he said. "This ring could be a symbol of hope for Alice and help her deal with her problems." Samuel gave the ring to Alice, who was surprised and thanked him, but didn't know how much it was worth. Samuel and Ivy left, feeling that they had made a difference in Alice's life. Later, Samuel and Ivy went back to the gas station to bring some food and toys for Alice. But they couldn't find her anywhere. Samuel then remembered why the ring he gave her was so special. The ring had belonged to his grandmother who had passed away a few years ago. After a while, after his grandmother died, Samuel's grandfather found out he had cancer, and doctors said it was untreatable. Samuel took care of his grandparents, but especially his grandfather, after being raised by them. Luckily, his grandfather got better and can live a normal life now. One afternoon, Samuel and Xavier sat on the porch, drinking tea and watching the view. Samuel, who was very close to his grandfather, wanted to talk about something that had been on his mind for a while. "Grandpa, I was wondering, how do you feel knowing your other kids don't really care about you?" he asked, showing his concern. Xavier looked out at the horizon and took a deep breath. "It's sad," he said, "but people's lives take different paths, and sometimes they drift apart. I have 3 kids, and they've all gone different ways. My oldest, Josephine, lives far away in another state. She's married to a truck driver and is always worried about money and complaining about problems. My middle son, Ezekiel, has problems with gambling. He only visits when he needs to borrow money, and it hurts my heart. My youngest son, Jasper, says he's a nomad, but really he's a wanderer who likes to live in the moment without thinking about the future or the people he left behind. My other son, Samuel, looked puzzled, not understanding why his uncles acted so differently from him. I don't get it. Grandpa, how can they just leave you? You're an amazing person. My grandson, Samuel. Everyone makes their own choices and follows their own path. Sometimes people drift away from those they love. You know your mom was younger than Jasper when she died in an accident. But I'm happy I got to spend time with her, and she left me with a special gift, you. What matters is that you've been with me through tough times, and that means more to me than anything. I'm extremely proud of you, and the person you've grown up to be." Samuel, moved, gave his grandfather a big hug. "I'll always be here for you, Grandpa. I'll always be here." Days went by, and that special afternoon became a memory that both grandfather and grandson cherished, making their bond even stronger. They shared love and affection that brought them closer together. Later, Xavier gave Samuel a special ring to keep safe for him until a special moment came. It had been 12 years since then, but sadly, Valentin had passed away. His funeral was attended by a huge crowd of people who came to say goodbye to their dear friend. Unfortunately, Valentin's 3 sons didn't show up. Samuel was no longer dating Ivy. She had moved on and got married, starting a family of her own. The last person to say goodbye was Daniela, who had always been like a granddaughter to Valentin and his wife. They had helped her deal with problems at home when she was a child. Because her parents were struggling with alcohol, many times they opened their home to her, giving her a safe and loving space to be in. Word count 266. Daniela felt close to Samuel and appreciated Valentin. When Valentin passed away, Daniela helped with the arrangements and stayed with Samuel through the difficult time. There was a woman at the funeral who cried the whole time. She didn't say goodbye, which seemed strange. Samuel and Daniela exchanged curious glances and quiet conversations, wondering who this woman was. Samuel asked Daniela, "Do you know who that woman is?" Daniela replied, "I have no idea, but she seems really upset. I've never seen her around here before." They both watched the mysterious woman, who was crying a lot, and wondered who she might be and why she was so emotional. But nobody at the funeral seemed to know her. As the ceremony went on, Samuel and Daniela kept trying to figure out who she was and why she was there. After the funeral, Samuel started going through his grandfather's belongings when his uncles, Josephine, Ezekiel, and Jasper, surprised him with an unexpected visit. Word count 257. They walked into the house with serious faces and a sense of superiority. "Samuel, we need to talk," said Josephine, folding her arms. "As Valentin's kids, we have a right to this house. You have to leave." Samuel looked at his uncles with anger. "How can you be so heartless? I took care of my grandfather my whole life. You only visited him when it was convenient. And now, you want to take the house he left me?" Ezekiel cut in. "It doesn't matter what you did, Samuel. We are his kids, and the law is on our side. You have 3 days to move out." Jasper just nodded in agreement. Frustrated, Samuel tried to get help, but the courts were moving too slow. He called a family friend who was a lawyer. "Hello, Mr. Holland. My uncles are trying to take the house that my grandfather left me. They gave me only 3 days to leave. What can I do?" Word count 266. The lawyer listened carefully and replied, "Samuel, I know this is a tough situation, but the law moves slowly. I'll check if your grandfather left any will or documents that can help, but I can't promise we'll have it sorted out in 3 days." Samuel looked desperate, thanked the lawyer, and hung up the phone. He knew the battle for the house would be hard, but he had no choice but to face his uncles and defend his grandfather's memory. 3 days passed, and Samuel heard loud knocks on the door. An official named Alice arrived with 2 police officers, ready to carry out the eviction order. Samuel answered the door, feeling anxious and nervous, but he noticed something familiar about Alice. He locked eyes with the ring on her finger and, with emotion, asked, "Are you that girl from the gas station? The one I helped so many years ago?" Alice was surprised to be recognized, and she nodded and smiled in confirmation. Word count 266. Here's the rewritten text. "It's me, Samuel. After that day, everything changed for me. I was adopted by the family that owned the restaurant at the gas station. They gave me all the support and love I needed. I went on to study law and became a professional." Samuel's eyes welled up with tears as he felt a mix of emotions. He was happy for Alice, seeing how she had overcome tough times and built a better life. But he was also sad, seeing her struggling in one of the hardest moments of his life. Moved by Samuel's story, Alice took out her phone to call for help. As she talked on the phone, her expression showed she was worried and determined. After hanging up, she turned to Samuel and said, "Samuel, for now I need you to leave the house. I promise I'll do everything I can to help you. I won't let your uncles hurt you." Samuel nodded, trying to hold back his emotions, and started to get ready to leave the house. Word count 2636. He felt a spark of hope deep down. It was thanks to Alice showing up unexpectedly at that important moment. 3 days later, Samuel heard loud knocks on the door. Alice, an official, was there with 2 police officers. They were there to make him leave. Samuel opened the door, feeling anxious and nervous. But as he looked at Alice, he felt something familiar. He looked at the ring on her finger and got emotional. He asked, "Are you the girl I helped all those years ago at the gas station?" Alice was surprised that he recognized her. She nodded and smiled and said yes, she was Samuel. After he helped her, her life changed completely. She was adopted by the family that owned the restaurant, and they gave her all the support she needed. Alice studied law and became an official. Samuel looked at her with tears in his eyes, feeling a mix of happiness and sadness. It was good to see that Alice had overcome her own struggles and was now in a better place. But it was sad to see her looking worried. When she heard Samuel's story and realized how desperate he was, she took out her phone and started calling people to see if they could help him. As she talked on the phone, her expression showed that she was worried but determined to find a solution. After she finished her calls, she turned to Samuel and said, "I need you to leave the house for now, but I promise I'll do everything I can to help you." She told him she wouldn't let his uncles hurt him. But Samuel nodded, feeling a little better, and started to pack his bags. Even though he was scared, he felt a glimmer of hope because Alice was there for him. Without anywhere else to go, Samuel went to Daniela's house, and she welcomed him without hesitation, giving him a safe place to stay during a really tough time. Samuel thanked Daniela for her kindness, and the two supported each other through the tough situation. 2 days later, Alice came back with some surprising news. She held some papers in her hands and with a smile on her face explained what she had learned. Before he died, Xavier was worried that his selfish kids would come after his money. So he transferred the house and some family heirlooms to a woman named Julia Travis. Samuel was confused and asked, "Who is Julia Travis?" "I don't know anyone by that name," he said. Alice agreed to take him to meet Julia Travis so he could understand the situation better. When they arrived at her house, Samuel was shocked to recognize her as the unknown woman who cried at Xavier's funeral. With an emotional look, Julia Travis told Samuel, "Your grandfather and I became close friends in the last years of his life. He trusted me to keep the papers about the house transfer, but over time and with life's problems, I forgot." Word count, 266. This output exceeds the allowed range. Samuel was still in shock, but he listened carefully to what Mrs. Travis was saying. Alice watched him as he listened. He felt a sense of relief now that he had a chance to get back his grandfather's house and honor his memory. Samuel, Daniela, Alice, and Mrs. Travis all went to the house that belonged to Mr. Xavier Gray together. They were determined to talk to the greedy kids of the person who had died. When they got there, they found Josephine, Ezekiel, and Jasper packing up the old man's stuff and getting ready to sell the house. Alice stepped forward and said, "You can't sell this house. You don't have the right to." She held up a piece of paper and said, "I have a court order that shows the house was transferred to my family's name." Josephine got angry and said, "This is ridiculous. We are his kids, and this house belongs to us." Ezekiel was just as angry as the others. "We are going to fight this in court, and you will see that we will come out on top. But the law is on our side." The house was transferred to Mrs. Travis in a completely legal way, and she had no intention of selling it. "You need to leave now," she added. Juliet, who was standing next to Alice, nodded in agreement, giving more weight to Alice's words. Samuel and Daniela watched the scene with relief and happiness, knowing that justice was being done. Josephine, Ezekiel, and Jasper had no choice but to leave the house after the court order came in. They tried to appeal, but the court confirmed that the house was indeed transferred to Mrs. Travis, which ruined the greedy siblings' plans. In the end, justice won out and Valentim's house was saved, keeping alive his memory and his wishes. The big change in Samuel and Daniela's lives made them closer, and the love they shared grew stronger. This led them to decide to get married. Alice, who helped Samuel get his grandfather's house, was chosen to be the maid of honor, and Julia Travis, the person who owned the house, was also there. Happy to see them get married. The wedding was beautiful and emotional, showing how two people who faced problems together could learn to be strong and kind. They were united by love and appreciation. and they moved forward with the values that brought them together and changed their lives forever. And with this inspiring story, we finish our video for today. If you liked it, be sure to like it. Subscribe to our channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next video. We think you'll really like it. Word count, 263 words. We appreciate you taking the time to watch. And we look forward to seeing you again.